Hey, 8th graders. Today is going to be, this is lesson 8. It's going to be the last lesson for the week of September 23rd through September 30th. In this lesson, we're going to be looking at a series of words that have the same root. And if you understand what the root means, then you can pretty easily decode what a more complex word means that uses the same root. So we're going to take a look at a couple of different roots and then figure out what words mean that contain that root. So in this example, we're going to look at the Greek root derm, meaning skin. So we can think of all the words that we know that contain the root derm, like in dermatology, hypodermic needle, dermatitis. So when you look at a word that contains a simple root like derm, what you need to think about is, okay, if something in that word means skin, what does the actual word mean? So here I have 3 definitions of words that contain the root derm, and we have to think about what we know about each of the words to help us decide which word matches which definition. So the 3 words that I've chosen that contain derm are pachyderm, hypodermic, and dermatologist. So in our first definition right here, number 1, is an injection beneath the skin. So pachyderm doesn't seem to fit that. Hypodermic, maybe. And then dermatologist, well, I know that words that end in ist are people, so like a dentist, a psychiatrist, so I know it can't be C. So it could be either pachyderm or hypodermic, but I also know that I've heard of a hypodermic needle, and that's what doctors use to put medications into your body intravenously. So hypodermic is an injection beneath the skin. The next one, the branch of medicine that deals with the diagnosis and treatment of disorders and diseases of the skin. So I'm looking for this root. I know a couple things. Branch of medicine. And when I look at branch of medicine, I know that's either going to be ology, or if it's a person practicing that branch of medicine, it's going to be ist, like a dentist, psychiatrist. So using what I know about derm meaning skin and ist meaning someone who practices this science, I can conclude that that is a dermatologist, is somebody who treats skin disorders. So that pretty much leaves me with pachyderm, and that's really the scientific name of any animal that has thick skin, and that would include elephants, hippos, and rhinos. So any animal that is thick-skinned, like an elephant, is called a pachyderm. So all of these words contain derm, meaning skin, and by breaking them into parts and looking at the rest of the definition, that'll help you determine the meanings of really difficult words. And on the next slide, we'll do one more. So this Greek root scope means to look or see. I mean, if you scope something out, you're going to look at it or you're going to see it. So I have 4 words that contain scope: periscope, stethoscope, microscope, and kaleidoscope. So what I want to do is look at the definitions above and try to figure out which of these words fit with the definitions. So for the first one, number 1, I'm looking for a word that means an instrument with lenses that magnify objects too small to be seen by the naked eye. So one thing I know is that it's something that's too small, and it's an instrument, so with lenses. So what I want to look at in my words, well, I know it's something that I'm looking in because that's what scope means, but I do know that in C, micro means small. So an instrument with lenses that magnifies objects too small to be seen by the naked eye is a microscope. So that's C. Next, an instrument for listening to sounds within the body. Well, if it's within the body, and who's going to do that? Well, a doctor. And when I look at my choices, I notice that I have a stethoscope. and doctors use stethoscopes to listen to your heart, your lungs, all of your organs within your body. The next one is a toy. So we've taken care of microscope and stethoscope, so we can use the process of elimination. So this toy, consisting of a tube containing small, brightly colored fragments of glass and mirrors that reflect these to form changing patterns, is either going to be a periscope or kaleidoscope. So it's either going to be A or D. So I want to look at definition for number 4 and figure out if I can cancel it out that way. An instrument with a tube and mirrors by which a person in a submarine can see things that otherwise would be out of sight. Well, I noticed that it's got the word submarine in that definition, and that lets me know automatically that that's got to be a periscope. Because if you ever watch the old submarine movies, it's always up periscope so that they can see what's going on above the surface of the water. So that leaves me with the toy, which would be called a kaleidoscope. And if you turn these tubes in your hand, you see all kinds of beautiful patterns being made, reflecting with the glass and the mirrors. So because all of these words mean scope, have scope, which means to look or see, you really want to be thinking about the rest of the definition to help you figure out what each of these words mean. So once you've gone through this video, there is an assignment that has a similar feature. You're given a Latin or a Greek root. You're given definitions and words that fit those definitions, and your job is going to be to match the definition with the correct word. So good luck.